Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and today I have with me Mr. Spider Dan of Spider Dan Secret Bores podcast, and we're going to be looking at The Matrix Resurrections.
Angry Andy.
Angry Andy Reviews.
Angry Andy. Angry Andy.
Angry Andy Reviews.
Angry Andy.
Angry Andy Reviews.
Angry Andy.
Angry Andy Reviews. Angry Andy Reviews.
Don't make me destroy you.
So, The Matrix Resurrections. It's been, how long? 20 odd years since
Yep,
the last
sounds
Matrix film?
That's about right.
And, oh my, I did not enjoy this film one bit. What about yourself?
Matrix Resurrections, dead on arrival.
That's what it should be. Unable to be resurrected. So, this film, the story essentially is that the survivors find Neo and Trinity in the machine world, and the mission becomes to bring them back into the fore for some nefarious reason. And that's about it, because, to be honest, the plot doesn't really make any sense, does it?
Absolutely not. It's kind of like a meta commentary on the franchise itself,
Yeah.
but also doesn't really go into like the satire or the aspects you think, because like the idea is that the original Matrix is like a video game.
Yeah, that's how they portray it, don't they? They portray the entire saga as being some kind of video game that was created, and then Neo sort of subconsciously knows this, so he creates a
modal, they call it.
a
don't they?
modal within the video game format, so that he can request help.
Yeah.
And then he, guy, that just
It's very like I felt like it was going for like a very Inception-y vibe, like we're trying to be as confusing as possible.
The Matrix within the Matrix within the Matrix kind of thing.
Because he's in a Matrix.
Yeah.
He's made a video game using the same code as the Matrix.
Yeah.
And the modal is like a test.
Yeah.
But he's created a Morpheus within that world, within that
to
particular,
help him, to rescue him.
It's like he's doing it subconsciously to save himself.
Yeah, but the film is literally as confusing and as misguided as it all sounds. Because I honestly did not find anything in this film that I liked, right down to the editing. The editing for me is the worst part of the film. Absolutely the worst part of the film, because when I think of like the original Matrix films, I think of like stirring long shots where they're fighting, and you know, these wonderful cinematic sort of viewpoints, the camera tricks, the use of everything, and there's nothing in this film resembling that. There's nothing at all. There's nothing groundbreaking, and it doesn't have to be anything groundbreaking, but there has to be something that, if you're gonna go back to the Matrix, which they say several times in this film, we're going back to the Matrix. Oh, you're going back to the Matrix.
To be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
If you're gonna go back to the Matrix, you have to do something within that to sort of like bring something out.
Already they're kind of tripping themselves up by like making out as it's this meta commentary, like everyone wants reboots and refreshes, and you know, and they never bring anything new, or they, you know, Matrix to me is all guns, and Matrix to me is, you know, politics and stuff.
Oh, we have bullet time, and you have guns, lots of guns, and then they do that. They don't do anything.
They just do this. They are literally setting themselves up to fail, because they're going, oh, it's just a rehash, and then they do a rehash.
Yeah.
Like, there was scenes upon scenes from the original movie that are replayed in this, and there's no new spin. Like, the opening scene is Trinity, the Trinity scene from the opening of the first film.
And it because it's Trinity from the first film, but it's played differently with different characters, different actors. And I thought, okay, maybe this is how they're going to sort of showcase the previous Matrixes before the Matrix, or what's come after. And because we had that thing in Matrix Reloaded where it was, this has all happened before and it will happen again kind of thing. And I thought, okay, maybe this is how they're doing it.
Yeah.
We're going to see everything that we had originally portrayed in a different way with different outcomes. And Neo is the bridging gap between all of them, like we knew he was. But they don't even go with that.
No.
It becomes something completely different. So that that pretty good opening, which is quite intense and really sort of, confusing in a good way, where you're like, where does this piece together? Becomes nothing.
Yeah.
It goes nowhere, and then it falls into this weird sort of.
Because she's watching Jessica Henwick, I think her character Bugs. Is it
Bugs?
Yeah, with the blue hair. She comes in and she's watching it and she's like, it's almost like deja vu for her, which is obviously a big point in the Matrix. The cat in there is called deja vu, but she's like, I've seen this before. I know this story. I know how this plays out. She's watching it, and she kind of sort of becomes involved in it. And then one of the agents is Morpheus, and she awakens him and realizes he's a sentient program.
Yeah, and he was planted to be awoken.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, it's just.
But then she also says, like, I saw you in another version of the Matrix.
Yeah.
And you threw yourself off a building, because there's clearly a lot of like mental health stuff going on with Neo, and whether
it doesn't quite work out, does it? It sends very mixed messages. In fact, this film in general sends
a lot
really mixed messages about medicating, self-medicating, coming off your medication, not following suit, stop being a sheep. And in the current climate, we said this afterwards, didn't we? We were like, oh, it's telling you to come off your meds.
And to believe in all these conspiracy theories. Like, for me, when I was younger, conspiracy theories used to be a fun thing to talk about, to think about.
Yeah,
now it's like...
Now they're almost dangerous.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a scary thing. And like, 20 years ago, for the Matrix, don't follow, you're something wrong with your life, don't follow what everybody else is doing. Like, that was interesting. But now, I mean, they needed to say something. And like, this whole film, I'm like, what are they trying to say?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
There was nothing. There was never a point where I was like, "Oh, I see what they're doing," or "I see what they're trying to get at," or "I see what they're poking fun at," or something. Because they initially start with like the poking the fun, the satire and stuff.
Yeah, and it does seem to be going up. Like the early parts of the film, I think do have a really good trajectory, and I thought, okay, I can see where they're going with this. They are poking fun. It's a little bit sort of like self-aware. Yeah. Not quite Deadpoolish, but it wasn't far off, because there were a few moments when you're like, "Oh, are they directly commenting on us as the audience looking in this situation at video games?"
And the thing with
then it flatlines. It becomes in fact, as soon as he's awoken properly, as soon as Neo's awoken properly. I mean, we are probably going to give spoilers right here, but as soon as he's awoken properly, it fell off.
Yeah, for me,
totally fell off, and I became disinterested because I didn't believe anything was happening. And I said this to you afterwards, that with the Matrix, what was great about the first one is that it made you believe these people were doing these things because they'd learnt the choreography, the editing played to the strengths of everything they were doing, the world building, everything. You believed it because of the way it was shot. This film is so badly shot, so badly edited, that nothing lands, nothing hits. The fighting,
it's all just
the fighting, it's sound effects.
Yeah,
we had sound effects in the original Matrix like that.
Yeah.
You seem very on edge.
But you saw like the impact.
Yeah. When Agent Smith is punching the shit out of Neo in that first film, you're like, oh my god, that looks super painful.
Yeah.
And they redo it in this. But again, like all the stuff where they're like, oh, this is a callback to the first film. This is the exact same scene. There's no difference. It's even in like a dusty old underground area, and he's punching through the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same shots. Like, again, they set themselves up to fail because they're like, oh, it's not going to be a rehash. It's going to be something new and different.
But it's
and
exactly...
they literally just do the scenes again, and there's just
slight changes, but
but not good
it's
enough.
Weightless.
Yeah,
it's absolutely weightless. So, like you were saying, the fights between Agent Smith and Neo in the subway, it's a fantastic fight because you see and feel all the impacts because of the way it's shot. You get these lovely wide-angle shots that close right in to the point where they are impacting. In this, they're cutting at every point.
Yeah,
and
well, it's like a Steven Seagal movie. It's just like from the hip upwards, they're going and like I feel like anybody can do that. And like Nia, like Jessica Henwick is a good martial artist. I've seen her in Iron Fist.
Keanu Reeves, John Wick.
It's great.
We've seen Keanu Reeves
do it.
In John Wick action sequences, long shot, tracking shots of him kicking ass, and they don't use any of his strengths.
All the way through the film, this for Keanu Reeves. That's all he does.
Yeah, yeah, there's nothing, is it? It's literally like they just went, oh well, he's still the one. He can still bullet time and block all the bullets. But even he says at the start, I'm not sure I can still do the things I could before. So bring him back to basics.
Yeah, just have him
Have
be a
him
martial
struggle,
artist.
yeah.
Part of me thinks, why are they still using guns though? Like you know, like
Oh,
the
man,
agent,
yeah.
with the agents. Obviously, like these other characters, the normal people they can shoot and kill, but with the agents, why are you not just running?
Yeah.
Like,
You know he can block them,
Yeah.
so why are you
they just go
carrying
like
on?
they do the and they reuse all the shots again to less effect and less gravitas. I didn't feel anything for the characters in this.
No,
felt
I didn't
nothing.
either. There's no stakes. There's absolutely no stakes in this film. And I pinpointed it afterwards. Literally, none of the characters, side characters,
Yeah.
anyone on the ship. So none of the people that live, other than these bots. So basically, instead of the agents becoming people, the Matrix itself turns people into bots and creates like a horde mode.
Swarm, yeah.
They call it the swarm. But essentially like a horde mode in a video game where they just plow at the players to the point where they're overwhelmed. And they do that a few times in the film, but there's no threat. There's no stakes because no one actively dies. None of the people, none of the players, we'll call them players, none of the people get plugged
Spoilers,
in.
but yeah,
no,
nobody dies.
no one dies. There's no stakes.
No.
There's a brief bit where you think, oh my god, they're getting overwhelmed, but because they've already set certain things up beforehand, they do a little joke where they say anyone who's ever worked with Neo ends up dead, and immediately when this one character says that, I went, nobody's going to die in this film. And nobody fucking did.
I came out of the film and you said it. It was like nobody died. I went, no.
Only the people that were still
like
attached to the Matrix.
Any of the villains or the characters that are
the NPCs
controlled.
Yeah.
But none of the villains die. None of the heroes die. Not like truly die.
Yeah, none of the villains die either.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But like what you were saying about no stakes, like they come. It's been for some reason it's been 60 years.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason.
Initially, they think, oh, it's only been 20 years. No, it's been 60.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
no
it's
problem.
been 60 years, and they're like, "Oh, we've advanced. We've come this way." There's some really interesting ideas in this. Like, there is some really cool ideas. Like,
Again, spoilers.
spoilers. Yeah, spoilers. There is there's a war between one faction of the machines and another faction of the machines.
Which is brilliant.
Great idea.
It looks brilliant in the immediacy. It's almost like you get like a little bit of a Terminator vibe.
Yeah. And there's these blue ones. We call them the blue ones or the red ones. So the blue ones are the nice
That's
ones.
exactly what they are.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
literally blue versus
Blue
red.
machine versus red machine.
It's blue pill versus red pill.
Shit, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Fucking hell, I didn't realise that.
Oh, how on the nose can you
but-
fucking get?
But they managed to build a city between themselves, and they ended up they get
the
code
blues
from
and the humans don't.
so the blue robots and the blue machines and the humans, and they're crafting real life strawberries from code from the Matrix, which again that's a really interesting idea. And Natalie, your partner Natalie, hit the nail on the head. She said, why didn't we see a film like maybe just the same as the Matrix, but it's them freeing a machine?
Yeah,
And
the machines are waking up.
The machines are waking up and coming into the real world, and then we could see how they see the code in the Matrix.
Yeah, because we see the opposite blending. We see programs from the Matrix world living in the real world as like these nanobot sort of shadow
bearings.
things, and that's interesting. On the flip side of that, it would have been interesting to see the machines waking up inside the Matrix, like she said.
Yeah.
And then you have that also like flip side. So what is the real world? Well, to the machines, the real world is the Matrix. Whereas to us, the real world is this desolate wasteland where people are used as batteries. That would have been 100% a much better film, and you could have had Neo be that bridge between them.
Yeah.
Because
he can kind of see both. He can see the code, and he can.
Well,
he
we had
understands
it where he can use his powers in the real world in
Yeah,
Matrix,
yeah,
in the
you're
Matrix
right.
Reloaded
You're right.
and Revolutions. So there has to be some sort of bridging, and instead of utilizing maybe Agent Smith or Neil Patrick Harris's character in some fundamentally evolutionary way for them, we get just generic. Agent Smith is pointless.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely
absolutely.
pointless. Throughout the entire film, he's a good actor. I can't remember his name. Is it Jared Goff or something like that?
I'm not sure.
But throughout the entire film, there were several moments when I was just like, oh, you could have just had Hugo Weaving do this.
Yeah.
Why waste the talents of
Because
Jared Goff
he's
on
not
pretending to be Hugo Weaving,
Yeah.
but not being Hugo Weaving?
Exactly. He's not exactly replicating his performance,
No.
but he's doing and he doesn't call him like Mr. Anderson. He says, "Oh, Thomas or Tom,
Yeah.
doesn't he? So it's like he's trying to differentiate.
Yeah.
But he's barely in the film.
Yeah.
And they make this big to do at the start about freeing Morpheus and being Morpheus is the key to freeing Neo. And then after the first act, you barely see Morpheus again.
He's not
like
in
they make a huge thing, and they also say that he's part Smith. The program is part Smith,
Yeah.
part Morpheus. And I went,
And nothing comes of it.
no, and I was like, oh, he'll be the villain at the end. Then he's gonna flip because
He's flipped once to be a heel turn at the end,
Yeah,
but the
easy.
programming overtakes, and nothing.
yeah, because he makes out he's like, why did you bring me back? Why did you make me? Why did you create me?
Yeah.
Just to free yourself? Is that selfish idea?
Yeah.
Like subconsciously, like
That's really interesting because it's like, okay, Neo is that desperate that he's forced the help of Smith.
Yeah.
You know, and then nothing comes of it.
No,
Instead, we have this other Smith. So we've got two Smiths in the film, and none of them do anything really. They have a Smith, the Jared Goff Smith. I don't even know if that's his name. I'm just saying it. It's probably not, but yeah, they have that fight, and it's weightless. It's impactless.
Yeah.
The Merovingian comes back with some men, impactless,
Yeah.
weightless. All he does is just stand on some rafters and hurl abuse at Neo.
he's just like-
for 5 minutes while this fight's going on.
He's like some mad homeless guy, isn't he? The Merovingian.
Yeah,
He's
and it's
like,
supposed to be like,
ruined
oh,
my life.
they were left behind after this great purge, which got rid of all the programs, including the Oracle, and
Yeah.
and yet it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In fact, this film doesn't matter. There's nothing in this film that I will think in 5-10 years and go, oh, I fancy
I'll
watching
have,
that
I'll
again.
have forgotten this by next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guaranteed.
Utterly forgettable. In fact, we only watched this last night. Last night, less than 18 hours ago. And there were a lot of plot points that I forgot.
Yeah.
Purely because there's that much fucking going on, that little of any importance, that little of anything really truly impactful.
Yeah.
That it's just gone. It's literally gone. The whole thing with saving Trinity at the end,
Oh god.
they make this grand plan, and they don't tell us the plan. They do the plan,
Yeah.
and then it's completely underwhelming.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like you said at the start, I don't even know what the point of the message is. I don't know what the point of any of their what they're doing is. Bugs finds Neo, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She finds Neo and forces his awakening. She is responsible for everything that goes wrong in this film. You said it. You
Yeah,
said it. You
yeah,
said it.
she is.
She's
Yeah.
the one that starts everything going off against the wishes of absolutely everyone, because the machines are happy they've got Neo and Trinity, and they're trying to give them inside their world. They're trying to give them sort of like a peaceful existence. And the real world, in the real world, some of the humans are living with the machines harmoniously,
Yeah, absolutely.
happily. And when she goes against the wishes, Niobe, fucking Jada Pinkett Smith comes back for no
Good God.
reason.
Good God.
Niobe's like, you might have just killed us all, because if the machines find out you're trying to release them, they'll come and get us. Why are you
And, like,
literally
there's no-
threatening peaceful coexistence? Everything that you fought for, just because you think Neo wants to be awakened.
Awoken, yeah.
I mean, he does. Admittedly, he
yeah.
does. He's crying out for it. But what he's crying out for is to be with Trinity.
That's the whole thing. But like even those earlier films, I never really. I enjoyed The Matrix and I get it. And in that first film, their love story is kind of to the side, and I kind of
It only comes to fruition at the end, doesn't it?
kind of really at the end. And then the other films, I'm like, I don't buy their chemistry, the two actors. I think they're both great, and I think separate and away from this, they're probably good. But I think together, I've just never really believed it.
No.
But you were talking about the stakes earlier, and the kind of the. Like some of the changes they make, they're kind of just like hand waving, like these real. They're like, oh, it's been 60 years, so we can make these drastic changes. Like one of the things that takes away from the intensity and the threat level is the whole that they can just like. In the original film, they had to go to a hard line. They had to do it through a phone. They had to go. We need you to go to this phone at this particular location. That's the only way you're going to be safe and get out of the Matrix. This they go. We just open up a door, boom, out, gone, safe.
It's like hotspotting. It's pretty much hotspotting, isn't it? They just set up a hotspot and then they're gone. And it removes everything. It removes all the threats. So when the attack on the train happens, it happens by sheer coincidence.
Yeah.
The agents find them somehow. But as soon as that happens, they go through a tiny mirror, and a tiny ass mirror. Like they just use. The closer you get, the bigger things look. What? You're just using fucking buzzwords to get away from your fucking
so much
your bookended plot, and they bookend themselves so many times and fucking waffle incessantly.
Oh, God.
Techno fucking babble
Technobabble.
to get over it. They bookend themselves throughout the entirety of the script.
They've even got that.
And then
that
they
guy
go,
who
oh
comes
well,
in.
it doesn't matter because the anaphylaxis
Yes.
of the AT-AT is completely conjunction with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and we can get out of here. And then they do, and you're like,
'Cause
okay.
you've got the guy who like the guy who's kind of like the tank or the what was the other guy's name in the original one?
Tank and Dozer.
Yeah, Dozer. Yeah, it's those. But he's like holographic now within the Matrix. So,
Yeah,
and he's
that's
constantly
a cool idea. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's almost like instead of it,
being in the ear.
instead of it being in the air, he's literally physically there with them.
There.
Nobody else can see him
Yeah.
apart from the crew.
Yeah, but like that's a cool idea, and like there's
But it would have been cool if there were the stakes of needing to find somewhere to jack out. Like
Yeah.
he's
Exactly.
in there with them, going, I'll
I
find
need to
one.
find something.
I'll find one. We'll go this
Go
way.
left.
We'll go this way.
I tell you what, they could have done like that the bit in Man of Steel where it's like Jor-El's like pointing to each door. To,
Yeah,
like,
but they could have done it in a better way. Like in the first Matrix, when Neo's running in the last third of the film, he's trying to find
Yeah.
where the room is, and the guy's going left. No, you're
Yeah.
over left.
Yeah.
They could have had the exact same thing. He goes left. You want to do a cool callback? Do it within the things you've established. So he could have been like, go left. No, wait, you're over left. And he goes, oh fucking hell, same
like
similar thing.
It didn't necessarily have to be like a hard line, but it could have been like a fucking Wi-Fi bloody
Yeah.
modem or
Use
something.
modern technology like
Yeah.
dropping out of Wi-Fi or dropping out of 4G or something
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that.
we don't have a strong enough signal or
Yeah,
something. We
there's
can't
no-
get you out.
Haha, there's no 4G in this area.
Yeah,
Lol.
yeah.
You know, anything like that. But no, they
Anything.
don't. Like they pass through a
Anything.
tunnel. On the train, I don't know. Oh yeah, fuck. They could have gone through a tunnel and
They don't have the connection
4G
to do it.
dropped
Yeah.
out or something.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe
they got the
it's-
power to the
they're going
train
through
and the Wi-Fi
They're
goes
going through a
out.
door, or one of them gets cut in half because they lose the signal.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that.
Just-
like anything, just anything.
But that's just it. This film is literally it's just filled with
Yeah.
nonsense. I literally call it nonsense. And I would be disappointed if
I don't think anyone
if I had
really-
any expectations.
I don't think anyone really has an arc either. Like nobody like changes dramatically, or
No, they don't.
like
not
nobody
even.
nobody has like, oh, I made a mistake or I did this. It's just like I'm in love with Trinity and I hope she's keen.
Yeah, because I thought they were going to do that with Morpheus Smith,
Hmm.
because he is a program.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to do something along those lines, like, where he develops into an
Yeah.
actual feeling, breathing human,
Mm.
and then throw up another spanner in the works for a later film. But there's nothing, and even Trinity's sort of like becoming the new one at the
Yeah.
end, or the two.
Yeah.
They become the two.
The two.
It doesn't feel earned.
No.
It just kind of happens.
Kind of like
And then the credits roll and you go, okay, oh wait, they're playing the same song they did at the end of the first
Yeah.
one, but it's sung by a different
and
person.
they're flying.
Oh.
They do the same shot where they're flying.
Yeah.
But it's both of them flying. It's just But like, there's another interesting idea as well, that there's like a neo cult or a neologist. So like there's a history of the one, and I'd love to have seen.
Your favourite bit?
Yeah, I'd love to have seen like the idea of like Neo being like this Christ-like figure, which
Yeah.
he is in the scheme of things, and then maybe they've twisted everything he did or taught, or it's like, and they're using it for their own means, their own ends. Like that would have been a great story.
Yeah.
Like
Instead, he goes, I'm a neologist. I have so many questions, thousands of questions. Maybe I can ask you one. Doesn't ask one.
no. But again, like you were saying, like there's like, oh, what happened to Zion? And like, oh, I've been waiting for you to ask me that. And it's like, they all died.
Yeah, they give like the briefest explanation. Oh, Morpheus took charge of Zion. He was elected, and then some power rose, and the machines went to war with each other. Yeah, but what happened to Zion?
Yeah.
What happened to Zion? Oh well, it was like, well, now we're here in Heyo. Yeah, but what
Yeah.
happened to Zion?
Yes.
I get they all died, but tell us what happened. Were they caught in the middle? Yeah, we get they refused to join with the machines, but what actually happened?
It was another one.
Exposition. This film does exactly what the second one does, the third one does, and it's just ridden with fucking exposition that goes fucking nowhere, and it won't go anywhere because there's not going to be a sequel to this.
I hope
There will not be a fifth.
I'm not saying it. They're not after this one. But here's another interesting thing as well. It's like all the odd lines where I'm like, that is an idea for a whole film. That one
Yeah.
idea. Like the one line that stuck with me as well was that like, oh, wasn't he the one who betrayed us and made a bargain with the machines?
Yeah.
Like that's a fucking interesting
Yeah.
idea. Why not? Like, oh, I don't trust him now because he made a bargain with the machines. He made a deal, and But all these people are like, oh, I'm here because of her, and I'm here because of him.
Yeah, loads of people say that. I'm doing this because of you. I'm here because of you. It's your fault that we have to do this.
Hmm.
All right, expand.
Yeah.
And they don't. They just fucking disappear.
And the thing is as well, at the end, they're like, oh, we've got to make sure that Trinity of her like consents to being released from the Matrix.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, she might say no, and she might say this. However, she's got horrible husband, annoying kids, and she's clearly not bothered about them through the entire
Yes,
film.
she's clearly depressed by
She
them.
doesn't care. She's just like, and her name's Tiffany, which she hates. I don't know why that's such a big fucking plot point in it.
Yeah. Oh, don't call me by that name. My name's Trinity.
And like there's lines like that which should have had so much weight and so much
Yeah,
like
but they don't.
fuck yeah moments.
But they don't
Yeah.
because nothing's is pre-established properly.
Yeah.
It's all just it's there. It's lightly
Like,
dusted on
my,
top of everything.
My last cinematic experience before this was Spider-Man: No Way Home,
Yeah.
and fucking hell, like it's such
There is a
like
drastic difference.
massive drop in
There's a
quality.
drastic difference, and I said to you before we went into this, I've noticed how nostalgia succeeds in cinema. People react in a cinema screen. They react. They reacted massively at Ghostbusters when we saw it. Admittedly, it was kids that were reacting
sure.
in Ghostbusters. They reacted massively in Spider-Man:
Absolutely.
No Way Home. Like just cheering, and which is something you rarely get in a British cinema. In this, they go for those same moments of like Neo's returned, he's using his powers.
Yeah.
Silent,
Yeah.
absolutely silent, and you can tell when nostalgia works. It does not work in the Matrix because it's because they haven't built it up.
No.
They haven't given you those initial moments to go, oh fucking hell, something brilliant's gonna happen. There's nothing like that. It's all flat. It's all basic. It's too complicated, too convoluted for its own good.
But this is what I was thinking. I was thinking, have they made it so, like, they didn't want to say, oh, this is the message, this is what we're trying to get at, so everyone can go, ooh, this is what I think of the Matrix.
Yeah.
This is my conception. This is what I think.
Yeah.
Like, is that what they were going for? They didn't want to just outwardly say any particular message or say something about
To
it.
leave it open for
To leave
the
it
audience.
open for the discussion and for the like, well, I see this in this film and I see this. And I was just like, but there was just nothing there for me.
Yeah.
I literally could not give a solitary shit about any of the characters.
No, not at all.
Like we said, no arc, none of them die. There's not a point
No.
where they ever feel at risk. All the callbacks are done are just from the first film.
Yep.
Literally copied and pasted from the first film.
And they even show in some of the moments. They even show like a
Flashback,
brief
yeah.
flashback on top of what happened. So when I think it's when Smith picks up the gun and remembers who he is, he literally does shout, "Mr. Anderson!" And as
yeah.
soon as he does, Hugo Weaving's face is saying the same fucking line.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it sends out the wrong kind of message
Yeah.
for me, because immediately I just went, oh, I wish he was back. Oh, I wish they'd done that. Oh, I wish they'd put a green tint on the film like they had in all the previous other fucking ones.
Yeah. Where was that?
There's no creativity in this film.
No.
It's creatively redundant. It's all CGI on top of fucking nothing.
There was some bad CGI as well, especially
Yes, there
when
was.
Neo and Trinity are on the motorcycle. Looks awful.
Yeah.
And it,
When I think, it's when something happens. I think Neo crushes a bonnet
Yeah.
and the bike goes up the bonnet, but it does so at like a
Turns
way where
around.
as soon as the wheel hits, it goes like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
oh, so bad. And the idea that like, spoilers, but Neil Patrick Harris turns out to be the kind of, they call him the analyst. Because
Yeah.
he's not the architect, but he's the analyst. And he
He's
knows
the
how
one.
human...
Yeah, he's basically the one diagnosing
Yeah.
Neo throughout the entirety of everything. He's basically his mental health doctor as well, but he's using him to like create this ideal fucking world for both him and Trinity.
Because he doesn't want them to... If they're together, they won't be happy. They
Like
won't
touching.
create
Yeah,
enough...
the
They won't
touching.
create enough energy, but he needs to keep them close enough and still full of despair and separation that... You know, it's possible, and they have that longing for each other, and it's the power of love that's powering the Matrix.
That's what gives the most energy. Not
Yeah.
all these millions of other people outside.
All this coding or programming. I was like, it's just a load of waffle and
It
just
is, yeah.
a load of pointless stuff going on. Like you said, it's shot poorly. It doesn't look anywhere near as stylish as artistic.
No.
And one of the Wachowskis didn't come back. That should have been that should have been red flags from.
I mean,
day
it's
one.
all over it.
You know.
All over it. Like, what? Just having one side of the coin clearly doesn't work.
No.
Doesn't work. And yeah, you said it when we came out. Like, you understand why this is the most divisive film
Yeah.
of this year, really. And yeah, it is divisive, but I don't agree. I think it's really an awful film. I really think it's an awful film. And
Yeah.
I would have been more disappointed if I had expectations for it, but I really
think-
didn't. I was excited to see Neil come back, but I had enough concerns
I
to sort
was
of warrant
absolutely-
me being completely a bit flat about it.
I was absolutely sold by the trailers as well. I loved the trailers for this film. I was like,
The
these
first one was
trailers.
really good.
I was like, this is good. You've got the White Rabbit song and
Yeah.
everything. You've got all that, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And even the callback with Henwick is like, she rocks up and he's like, why should I trust you? Are you not another
Yeah.
machine or another program? And she just shows him a tattoo of the White Rabbit. And it was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
That
to
moment
trust.
felt
That's all you
completely
need.
flat. That's a moment where it should have been like, where the audience go, "Fucking hell, it's the same White Rabbit," but then it's not. It just goes, "Well, I've got this," and you go, "Oh, okay."
And they're all like he even says he's like a fanboy to like Neo and
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm like none
Don't
of
believe it.
none of them have any personality though. Like none of them are like a character. And the like Morpheus, you could have done fucking so much with that. And they just literally sideline. They bring him back, sideline him, and he's a great actor. He's Black
Yeah.
Manta, and he's in the Watchmen TV show.
Yeah.
Like he's a fucking quality actor. I really
Yeah.
like him a lot.
He's on the rise, isn't he?
Yeah, but his dialogue was very like la la la. You know, bullshit, bullshit.
yeah,
Quotes the lines.
He even says,
Yeah.
does that. Even goes when they're talking about like, oh, human beings, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. He literally says
Yeah.
that. He literally goes blah 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 blah. He's like, what the fuck is this dialogue? What are you doing to these fucking characters?
And it's kind of like the shitting on the original film,
Yeah.
while giving it reverence, while
Yeah.
making fun of it, while not. And I'm like, what, I just didn't know what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
What
that's
are
the
you trying to
fundamental thing.
say?
Literally on the way home, it was like, what were they trying to do? And that's the biggest problem. Away from the editing, where lip syncing's not matching up, there's a fucking shot when Niobe's talking to someone, the camera's right here, and this woman here in the foreground. The focus is on Niobe, but the woman here in the foreground, her lips are not matching what she's saying, and the camera's here.
Yeah,
Shit editing, shit filmmaking.
yeah.
Beyond that, beyond the editing, beyond the
I know it's that
filming
with
style,
Neil Patrick Harris as well.
Yeah,
Just fucking
it happened.
awful
I'm
lip-syncing.
pretty sure it happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
Beyond all that, the music is not memorable, and the music was always memorable in the first one and the
They didn't
second
even,
one.
They didn't even really have the
Yeah, they just did the start the credits,
yeah,
didn't
that was it.
they? The fighting, nothing.
Oh, it's awful choreography.
Yeah.
Considering like what they went through, like if you look behind the scenes of the original Matrix films,
So much
weeks
effort.
and weeks and weeks of rehearsal, weeks and weeks of martial arts training.
Because they knew they were doing single shot takes,
and you
wide
said,
angle
and you
takes.
said for bloody Revolutions, not Revolutions. What's the other one called?
Reloaded.
They made a fucking highway.
Yeah, they made like a
made
mile long
fucking-
highway so they could do the car chase
Yeah.
properly, effectively, and destroy real cars.
Yeah.
Admittedly, they enhanced it with CGI, but
Yeah, sure.
they made it.
They did
They
it.
made it so they could do
They
it on
flip
their
the
own
cars,
terms.
they do all that
because
shit.
like I think it was like the Los Angeles highway would not allow them
Nah.
to use their own highways. They went, oh fuck it, we'll just build one.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that in this. There's no craft in this similar to that.
I think they use the CGI as a massive crutch as well.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, the cinematography is poor, the editing is poor, the camera work is poor. Like there's just nothing to it. And again, like I don't know what they're trying to say. I don't know what the characters are going through. Like
No.
like Jessica Henwick has nothing goes wrong for her. She causes everything to go wrong,
Yeah.
but she's never like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, and you would have got that if one of her crew members had died or got seriously
Yeah.
injured, or these the machine crew members that they've got. If one of them had died or been destroyed, because
They're
it
like
would have
pet-
been
they were like
the
pet
work,
dogs or
yeah,
something,
the
weren't
work,
they?
the
Yeah.
working together. They help save Neo. They help pull him out of the Matrix. There would have been something in it if one of the machine crew members gets killed, because you're like, fucking hell, the machines
Yeah.
are being killed by the machines. Just to enhance that, but there's nothing. There's no stakes.
Nothing.
Oh, it's just terrible, and I'm struggling, like in terms of a score, because I didn't enjoy this film in any way, sense, or form.
Yeah.
I cannot give it anything. I don't think. I really can't. I mean, Keanu Reeves is good in the sort of like the opening bits, because I was buying into his sort of panic-ridden sort of like he knows
Yeah.
what's real and what's not, but he just doesn't want to go with it.
Yeah.
It's completely opposite to Neo in the first one, where he's like, yeah, I'll come with you.
Yeah.
I'll do it. You know, it's completely opposite, because he's shitting himself.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking hell, this is great.
Yeah.
And then they they don't carry on with that. As soon as he's freed, he stops caring. He just kind of goes along with the motions of everything.
Like you said, the first, I don't know, 40 minutes, 45 minutes is all this kind of meta commentary, and they talk about like stories, and stories are like, oh, I'm never that upset when there's a reboot or a retelling, because stories change and evolve.
Basically telling us we're all arseholes for hating reboots.
Yeah, exactly. And again, setting themselves up to fucking fail. Because all it happens after that, it's just any other Matrix movie, but done much more poorly.
Yeah.
Like, that first 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, however long it is, that was interesting. There was something there. And it was like, you know, obviously I know at the end it's going to be the Matrix. It's not going to be that his mental health is, you know, showing him.
Yeah.
But that might have been a good twist at the end, that actually, you know, he fucking was just a bit mental or something. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't
play on the fallibility of human beings.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always the machines causing chaos. Maybe there is something human causing madness in the Matrix itself. But oh no, it's just you know what.
You just I knew what was going to happen as well. Like just every step of the way, I went, this is what happened. It's all very predictable.
It's
like,
so predictable.
Like I was saying about
even in this
Trinity.
convoluted dialogue, it's extremely predictable what the fuck is going to happen. And I swear that literally they beefed up the dialogue, they beefed up the script with all this techno babble just to make it seem that much more difficult.
Yeah.
But even so, because the plot is so ridiculous, it still doesn't make any sense anyway. Even though it is predictable, because you're just like, ugh. Well, we knew Trinity was going to end up being the one.
She was going to say, yeah, I want to be released. There was never a moment where I was like, if she had the perfect family, the perfect existence.
If they'd set it up,
yeah,
where she did have a perfect life and she was really struggling, then you could have had that moment where she does try to leave before she turns back and goes, no, I do want to leave.
Yeah.
You could have, because there's no tension in it. If they'd built it up properly, there would have been the opportunity to believe it.
But
it's predictable because they don't do anything in the opening sections of the film with her. Like, you do see her husband, and Neil's like, oh, okay.
There's a great.
She seems happy, but then you don't buy that she's not happy because they don't tell us that she's not happy at any point.
Because they go, he's a bit belligerent. The husband's a bit belligerent and a bit rude and a bit, you know, but it's you know. It's not like he's awful and abuser, but you can clearly tell she's not happy.
Yeah,
and I'm like, if this is the perfect life, like there's a story called a Superman story for the man who has everything, which the Justice League Unlimited did an episode of it, and basically, Mongol puts this alien parasitic plant on Superman, and it gives him the dream life. It gives him a son on Krypton. He's married to a Lois Lane, and the whole idea is he's done that. So Mongol, he's like, he was the only thing in my way, and now he's trapped in this virtual paradise, and he's never going to want to leave. And the idea of that is that when he does come out of it, he's destroyed because he had that perfect life. It's been taken away, and he absolutely goes to town on Mongol. But with this, why not make it a perfect life for Trinity?
Yeah.
Why not go? But
there's your stakes.
Yeah.
It's going to be impossible to get her out because she likes this life.
She loves it. She's happy. Like, instead of making it I'm a bit miserable and maybe a change would be good.
But even then, I
Make
didn't truly see that she was miserable. There's those couple of moments where she's looking back at Neo, and I'm like, but she's gone for the kids, and she seemed quite happy with the kids.
Yeah.
She buys them a donut. She buys them coffees.
Because she's concerned, because they come back and they're like, our daughter's been hurt, she's been in an accident.
Yeah, and then she goes, oh, I've got to leave. I need to go help my daughter. That doesn't look like she hates her life.
No, she looks like, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh no,
And we never see this daughter before either.
No, and she's like, oh, I'm Trinity now, by the way. Pow, 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 pow.
Yeah, punches her husband in the face.
And then they free her. And then you've got like the only moment where I was like, oh, in the whole film is when Satine from Reloaded, I think, comes back, the little Asian girl. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I'm growing up now. And
played by Priyanka Chopra, I think her name is. Yeah.
Yeah, Jonas. She's a Jonas now, I think.
Oh,
married into the Jonas Brothers.
Good luck to her.
But yeah, I know that was the only point where, oh yeah, I remember her. But it wasn't like, oh my god.
Yeah, it wasn't that, fucking hell, this is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, there's This was
not the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield moment.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Spoiler.
And again, And again, that film does everything like it doesn't like there's lines and there's hints about stuff that's happened before, but apart from that, it's all new.
Yeah.
Like there is not like there's a couple of little callbacks for like 3 or 4 seconds in
Yeah.
that film, but there's never like whole swaths of sequences
Yeah.
for like 5-10 minutes. Like the opening sequence goes on for about 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, that fight with Agent Smith goes on for 5-10 minutes,
And it's not good.
and it's not good. And I just all it did was go, I just want to watch the original.
Yeah.
The whole way through, I was just like, the original was so much better, more interesting.
More well filmed, more better executed
Yeah.
in every single department.
Yeah. They just like they were just
Believable characters. There's no Joe Pantoliano in
no,
this.
exactly.
He's the most underrated character in the original because he's the linchpin that sets up everything that goes wrong.
Mm.
Without him, the original Matrix film doesn't work.
No.
Because he puts the seed of doubt in Trinity at the beginning of the film, as he's talking to him on the phone. And obviously he sets her up there. Without any of that, because he has that whole fundamental bit of dialogue, doesn't he, when he's killing them all on the ship?
Yeah.
Like saying, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of reality. I don't know what real is. I just want to go back
Yeah.
to sleep. I want to go back to my reality.
Yeah. I don't want the
Brilliant
slop.
fucking scene. And
Yeah.
you don't have anything like that in this.
No.
There's nothing like I'm not saying you have to have somebody
No.
killing them, but you need to have something,
Like
some
said,
character,
stakes.
some character away from Trinity, Morpheus, Smith, that sort of gives you.
Every single one of those characters are all
Bugs should have been
throwaway.
it. Yeah, Bugs
Yeah.
should have been it, and she almost was, but then she stops talking, and becomes a bit part player in her own story. And
Same with Morpheus. He doesn't. Neither of them say a line of dialogue in the last half of the film. Neither of those
apart
characters.
from buzzwords like
Yeah.
now do it, execute.
And she frees Trinity because for some reason she's got to plug
Oh,
into
I
Trinity.
did not understand that.
I was like, but why is she plugging
Yeah.
in? She's like, oh, we've got to become one.
We've got to connect you so that you can get in there to control her
Just a-
mind, to
just a-
free her mind.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, because it looks good because we're using multiple
Yeah.
jacks. Brilliant.
And
Fuck off.
that's the thing as well. They introduce these multiple jack points because there's one slightly lower down the neck,
Yeah.
and there's one right into the brain.
Yeah, they never really go into
And
it.
then
do they?
they go, oh, well, there's 2, and they rebuild Trinity, and because obviously Trinity is dead,
Yeah.
Neo is dead in the original films, the Matrix is reset.
Yeah. Really good potential for a
Yeah.
horror moment, and we see barely of it.
Yeah. And there's none of the squids. There's like almost nothing of the squids, which is the most iconic, some of the most iconic robots in any film ever made. And they're barely even a threat
Yeah.
or anything.
There's one bit where they sort of activate and come sweeping down, but then they're like bumbling guards. They come down. I think it's when Morpheus is going into the machine,
Yeah, he's a
into the
ball
machine
bearing.
tower in his ball bearing form, and he sneaks in, and they sort of like come tumbling down, and then don't even notice him while he's still going through.
Yeah, they're like-
they don't
they're
even notice him. They hear a noise. They don't even notice him. And they're sort of like, oh, well, where did he go?
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck off.
Isn't it the moment?
Ultimate killing machines that eviscerated entire crews nearly an entire city.
Yeah.
And they hear a noise and don't know where it is.
They're just like the idiot drones, aren't they? Kind of the Roger of the
Yeah.
Star Wars, battle droids. But it's a moment I thought was really fucking boring as well, when they were like the escape with Neo, because Niobe wants to lock Neo up because she's like worried that he's going to cause this city
Pointless.
to be destroyed, and then Morpheus goes up and says, well, you're not going to stay here, are you? And then that ship just comes up, jumps in the ship, and he's off. And then
Even though their ship has been
Yeah.
impounded.
And this is where he goes in and he meets Trinity and he's trying to tell her everything. And Neil Patrick Harris comes in and he's like, "Ooh, bullet time! I can slow down time, and you can't do anything." Ha ha ha! And this is another thing that you hate. Always comes up on your channels, which
Yeah.
I am now fucking despising. And it's just
I'm sorry.
fucking-
I'm sorry for pointing out to you because you're
just
starting to notice it.
fucking exposition. Again, it's like Loki, the TV show. It's just people sat down chatting about bollocks. I don't fucking care. I'm just show it me. Show, don't tell. Simple as that. Show me a flashback. Show me
I'm
something.
I'm so sorry. But it literally is.
You're right, though. You're right.
There's one point in it. Something really good's happening. It's like, oh, fuck, yeah. Now, I will tell you exactly what I'm going to do right here. You're like, don't sit down.
Oh my god, it is? Yeah, no, don't sit. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry, Dennis. I'm very confused. Don't sit down!
Don't tell me it. Just fucking hell. Don't show me clips of the original film. Don't just get on with it. But there's a bit where they escape.
Like, don't get me wrong. If it's like a high quality drama, you know, like in Heat, where they have that sit down conversation at the table, where it's all just tension and character. They weren't delivering plot in there. They were delivering character in that scene.
Exactly. Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. If characters are sitting down at the table, if they're actively showing us something, because they showed two sides of the coin in Heat, like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, they have that beautiful moment. But the difference here with that, when Neil Patrick Harris sits down on a couch to tell Neo exactly what's happening while Neo's just fucking frozen, it is just literally, and now this is going to happen. I will do this because this is happening, and bullet time is now just a TM trademarked, and it's all time, and then the machines, and we control everything, and this is the reason why I'm doing it. It's literally just like you're getting talked to. It's like being sat in a headmaster's office, and he's telling you everything you've done over the last year and everything you will do in the future of your life, and you're like, oh, okay, great.
But there was that.
Have we learned nothing from The Simpsons when people are sat listening and they fall asleep?
It's like a lecture. It is like a lecture, like I said. It's just,
and I hate it.
Same with that final episode. Loads of, like, somebody on Twitter was like, my favourite MCU villain is Kang, and I went, you're fucking massively wrong, because he was just all he did was sit down and exposit fucking dialogue.
Sat down behind a desk, and then Loki and Lady Loki sat down as well and listened to him.
That whole episode.
It's not character.
No,
it's not character. It's not world building. It's not world building. It's not character building.
The finale of a series.
It's just I don't know how to explain this plot in any other way than just saying it. Yeah. That's what happens in this film.
Awful writing, just awful. But there was a moment where their ship is like I said, they park the ship, and then the other ship is chasing them, and Niobe sent after them, and they're like, well, we're here now, and you think, oh shit, they're going to fight, or they're going to shoot each other, or anything. They're like, well, squids are on their way, they've detected you.
It's going to be an interesting thing where both crews are fighting each other inside the Matrix or something.
Oh my god,
human versus humans in the Matrix.
Yeah, that would be fucking brilliant. But again, they were just like, well, you can stay for the squids, or you can come with us, and they go, well, not much of a choice, is it? And literally they're back, and then they're just getting eaten out by a Niobe. Yeah. and I'm just like, it's boring. Yeah,
this film has several moments where they go, we actually don't have a choice. No. So it's throwing the idea of you get to choose your destiny
and
up in the air.
Actually, no.
But then it's not reverential enough. It's not clever enough to really travel with any of it. Right.
Half messages. All the way through.
Half messages right the way through.
Yeah.
Right. I'm fucking done.
Sorry,
I'm absolutely done. This has been a good long-winded discussion. It needs to be done. Seen a lot of praise for this film. I don't know how. I don't know why.
I wouldn't agree. Sorry.
I can't. If you like it, like I don't say. If you liked it, good for you. Enjoy what you like. But honestly, for me, this is worse than Revolutions, and that hurts.
Oh yeah,
that hurts.
Yeah.
I cannot stand the film. I will never watch Revolutions ever again. I've got a really soft spot for Reloaded because the mass amounts of Smiths.
Yeah.
And a couple of other the car chase in the second one.
I think you're gonna get a lot of people now, very much like a prequel trilogy. People are gonna look back on it now more fondly than it was. I know it's a similar thing.
But even still, I won't watch Revolutions.
No. But even still, like with the Garfield Spider-Man's being looked back on a bit more fondly at the moment. But again, it's up to you how you feel about those. But I just came out of the cinema and I said, not for me.
Yeah, that's literally the first thing you said.
I went, 3 words, not for me.
Yeah.
Just, I've
And likewise, only I'm much less forgiving. If I have to give this a score, for me, it's going to be a really, really horribly low 2 out of 10.
I'd have to agree with you. 2 out of 10 for me as well.
That may sound bad, but that's because I literally found nothing of any enjoyment, any worth. I wasn't sold by anything. Didn't believe the characters. Didn't believe the story. I didn't believe anything.
No,
I didn't trust in direction. The editing was awful. Shot poorly. Choreography is thoroughly underwhelming. The action sequences are a mess of CGI purely to cover up how lackluster everything is in the film.
Yeah.
There's so many explosions in this film. It's unreal. You can't see anything that's going on. So the motorcycle chase at the end, there's so much going on. His
Yeah.
body dropping from the sky because it's covering up shit. It's covering up shit.
So, like we said, there's so many ideas that in this, if they'd expanded upon them,
Yep.
might have made for an interesting film or something like a bit
Yeah.
different.
Any of the other ideas that pop up in this film would have been a better plan.
Yeah. Instead of a by the numbers love story, Matrix.
Yeah, and I think
love, love will conquer
I
all.
think that's what a lot of
story.
people are latching onto, aren't they? Saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's a much better love story." I'm like, well, The Matrix was an action movie. It had love story as a side arc that attached to it. That was never the fundamental path.
Yeah.
I just think like, fair enough, whatever. That's it. I'm done. I'm done. 2 out of 10 for me. And
2 out of 10 for me.
yeah, and there we go. 2.5 hours of a film, and it felt like 2.5
it felt
hours
longer.
compared to the same amount of running time for Spider-Man: No Way Home. There's a clear difference in
Yeah.
quality of filmmaking between the two of them.
Absolutely. That's how you do your reboots, your franchise. That's how
It's
you
like
do
a
it.
reboot. It's just
Yeah.
that's how you deliver nostalgia in
Yeah,
a way
absolutely.
that has an impactful meaning to the story that gives characters a reason to come back, a reason to do something, a reason to change.
So there was no reason to care, and
No.
now I don't care about a sequel either because I think there was a little bit of sequel bait.
Yo, absolutely.
There's a definite
Absolutely. They leave everything wide open, and that's another thing. This film doesn't actually have an ending.
No.
There's not an ending to it because nothing of substantial weight happens at the end. They're in almost in the same position they were beforehand because the Matrix is fine, even though Neo and Trinity have left.
And they said they're
It's
gonna.
still fine.
And they say they're gonna remake it or do what they want. And it's
They'll remake it in their own image, so they're becoming more gods than they were gods to begin with.
Yeah.
And then the analyst is like, fine, but the suits are still gonna contest you. Fuck off.
Right.
Right, that is it. The Matrix Resurrections.
Dead on arrival.
Yeah, it should be. What do you think of it? Leave a comment, like and
Let us
subscribe.
know.
to the
Tell us if
channel.
we're wrong. Tell us we're so wrong.
Oh, people think we're wrong anyway, but that's fine. That's the
That's fine.
glory of opinion, isn't it? But there you go. That's it. Bye. Big thanks to Spider down there for joining me in this review of The Matrix Resurrections. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find Spider Dan at Dan_Bores over on the old Twitter webs, and as we mentioned at the start, you can find his podcast, the Spider Dan and the Secret Bores podcast, on all good podcast channels. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.